All right, welcome class. So I know this is late and it's not on time, but better late than never is the saying. And so this is my spotlight presentation on the consequences and definition of copyright by Ezra Robichaud. So the first question we want to start is what is a copyright? A lot of times we see this symbol on movies and television shows, paper, artwork, books. But it's just to see what really does it mean if something is copyrighted. It's the form of protection grounded in the U.S. Constitution and granted by law. It is the foundation and basis of a patent. It is the mark of an artist saying that you cannot copy and you cannot replicate without permission from the creator. What does it protect? Copyright protects movies, music, anything that has been physically or recorded, produced by any individual. You do not have to be 18 either. What is copyright infringement? Now, copyright infringement, what that is the term infringement is breaking the law of copyright, and it is stealing someone else's work. You have broken the law. You have crossed the boundary of, appreciating someone's work versus stealing someone's work. Now, what qualifies as stealing someone's work in copyright? Because a lot of times, you might take a picture of a painting at a gallery. You might, mention a song in one of your own works of music. So a lot of times there's confusion on what really qualifies as stealing. So if you make money from your production that replicates someone else's work, that's infringement. If you, directly steal, basically, if someone can sue you for copyright infringement, and then they'll take you to court, and then it'll be determined by the court whether or not you really stole their work and replicated it, or if you just appreciated it and were not infringing their copyright. Possible consequences of infringement. So in the case someone does take you to court, there's going to be consequences if they win their lawsuit. Now, the majority of the time, this involves money and compensation, because the biggest reason people take someone to court for copyright is if they lost money. Because if I make a song or I make a painting and it has value, I'm going to make money from my production. If someone steals that and commits copyright infringement, they are going, it's because they're making money and they're gaining value off of my work. So usually people are going to court because they want compensation. Now there's civil and criminal. So civil is, it's a lower level of infringement, versus criminal is, if you stole work from a really large company, it depends on the level of infringement. So there's $750,000 to $300,000 in statutory charges. So that's where it can start. $150,000 in a civil case, and you can get all the way up to $250,000 and 5 years in prison for a criminal charge. Now, examples of infringement, because there needs to be examples. So movies is a very large example. People stealing each other's work. Now this happens, we'll get to this later, but a lot of times big companies like Disney and stuff, who are an American company, have to deal with copyright issues with other countries. Music is a huge source of copyright infringement. You have artists who are making songs. A lot of times artists mention, especially rap, they mention other artists and their work in their own production, and people sometimes come to them for royalties and copyright infringement. Business is a huge one. This is like the study of, the focus of our class is business law, so I want to focus on that. So an example of movies is in the second Hangover movie. There was an artist who did Mike Tyson's famous tattoo on the side of his face. Now, in Hangover 2, it was a joke, against Mike Tyson. They gave this actor the same tattoo. Now, this actor sued Warner Bros. For stealing his design and not giving him credit. Music. There was a big case. Ed Sheeran was being sued by multiple people for stealing melodies, stealing tunes, which I think it's very difficult to take someone to court over music because, music is a very personal production. Melodies come from, your heart, and it's a very personal experience, writing a song. So it's hard to take someone to court, it's not crazy that two people could have the same idea. And business. This was a really big one. Apple took Microsoft and Google to court over stealing technology patterns for their home screen. And then Motorola was suing Apple at the same time. And Google actually bought Motorola, and then they bought the company that was suing Apple, so everybody just kind of, called it a day, and they settled it outside of court. Examples of infringement consequences. Vanilla Ice. Vanilla Ice had to pay huge sums of money because he stole lyrics from other music. Modern Dog. This is a t-shirt company out of not a t-shirt. They had t-shirts, but they're a brand located in Seattle. And Shepard Fairey, who is a famous street artist. So Vanilla Ice is a picture of him. He stole some lyrics from some music, and everyone kind of knows that song, but he ended up getting sued for that and had to pay him a bunch of money. Modern Dog. The story behind this was this small Seattle company developed a symbol and a series of symbols of dogs that they put on all sorts of t-shirts, sweaters, just anything you'd put in your house that would have a design on it. What happened is big company Target stole their design and started putting it on t-shirts in the form of hearts. Now, they stole their design. It's copyright infringement. This company in Seattle, Modern Dog, took them to court for that because they're losing their value because this big brand Target it's easy for Target to produce all this, so they're losing their value. Their product with these dog symbols is no longer unique, no longer special. Someone can go to Target and get it for $5 on a good sale. The problem is Target has seemingly limitless funds to sit in court and fight with them all day. And Modern Dog is a small company in Seattle, so they've actually had to sell their production office just to remain in this fight and this legal battle with this large company. And this is actually a huge problem in America, is we have these huge companies who have limitless funds, who can sit in court all day and fight and push around these smaller companies who don't have the funds to go to court with them. So they end up losing because they can't afford it. This is a campaign picture. Now, this story was really interesting. Shepard Fairey was a lower level street artist, and he actually painted this picture of Barack Obama, and he didn't even mean for it to be part of their campaign, but the campaign team for Barack Obama found the painting, really liked it, and slapped it all over the country. And now, all of a sudden, this low-level street artist, Shepard Fairey, is nationwide. He's like his work is famous. It's being used as the campaign poster for Barack Obama. So he actually took them to court because they didn't give him credit. Now, a lot of people argue in this situation that he was in the wrong because they took his work and they made it famous, and arguably his work never would have reached this level of fame without them. But he took him to court because they didn't give him credit, and they should, at the end of the day, should have given him credit for it. And he ended up getting a lot of money. How to gain copyright. Now, everyone wants copyright, and these are the steps you need to take if you want to get the protection. The basis of copyright is you need to register. Now, it's actually fairly easy to register yourself and your work under copyright. So it's an application, 3 essential elements, completed application form. It's a non-refundable filing fee, copy of the work being registered and deposited with the Copyright Office. So basically, you need to give them your work, and you need to be the first source that says, this is my work, this is what I want protected. You know, they need to know what your idea of your work is, so that if someone steals it, you can say, hey, this is what I wanted protected. You know, there needs to be an exact definition of what is being copyrighted. This is the website you can go to send your application in. And you're actually protected 70 years after death is the timeline for when your copyright expires. Now, prima facie, that is actually the term for getting copyright and being registered. And a poor man's copyright. Poor man's copyright is the idea that you don't need to register, and that if, you know, someone steals your work, you can take them to court, because at the end of the day, you really don't need to be registered to sue someone for copyright infringement, but it makes the process much, much easier, and it's going to save you a lot of money. And this is a picture of, because 70 years after death. How to exercise your copyrights. First step is you're going to need a lawyer. This is a picture of Better Call Saul. He's a lawyer. Really good one. But yeah, you're going to need a lawyer because you're probably going to end up having to go to court. And you contact the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and you can go to their tip line and let them know that someone has stolen your work. And then you sue them, and you try to milk, you know, as much value as you can out of them, because they stole your work, and it's almost a form of defamation, because there's not always a price you can put on, you know, the value of your work. That's kind of up to you. Now, this is a huge step in the copyright, because, like I mentioned before, big companies, you know, Disney, Apple, like these big American companies, you know, they're dealing with, you know, other countries stealing their work and copyright. And it can be really hard to go after someone who lives in another country, because the best avenue for that is to hire a lawyer in that country to take them to court. And that can be really, really expensive. But basically how it works is there is a list of countries that have signed agreements with the US, and we've signed with them, that allows us to set copyright boundaries and laws between our countries so that people can be protected. Because I mean, the world we live in today, it's not you know, America 100 years ago, you could invent something that was popular in the United States, and no one in the UK or Europe was ever going to see or hear or know anything about it. So you never really had to worry about that. But nowadays, when I can pick up my phone and call someone on the other side of the world, it's really important to have copyright laws that coincide with other countries. And the list is very, very, very long, and you still need to hire a lawyer in that other country. That's the best way to go about it. And this is a link to the list of countries that the US has agreements with. And these are my sources. I want to thank you very much for taking the time to watch this, and it'd be great if I could get partial credit for my presentation. Thank you very much.